me to spray it?
The Gala. Yeah, I'll have to look for the Gala. Do this way.
I always send it to Peso when they never change it.
I know. Yeah, we're not doing anything else in here till later. Okay, so let's do a Mozart. Let's do 13. I'll ask him. Is it Ashley? Can I ask? Or 12? 12. Sorry. Number 12. Oh, that's fine. The first movement, just take the first repeat, not the second. Okay, because we got 15 minutes left. Just the first repeat, okay?
Test, test.
Testing 1 2 3. Testing. Still good?
Hi there, good afternoon. Oh, wow, let's do it. I heard a hi and I heard a couple good afternoons. Good afternoon. Woo, that was exactly what I was looking for. Thank you so much. My name's Stacy Peterson. I'm the Strategic Communications Manager for the City of Peoria, and I'm so happy to see so many people here today on what is truly going to be a historic event. We do have displays many of you have seen. We have refreshments in the back. I'm going to invite you all right now to stick around afterwards and take your time in case you missed anything in the room. But without further ado, we're going to start this program. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. 128 years ago, to the hour, a group of proud Peorians gathered at City Hall to place a copper box into its cornerstone. They couldn't have known who would open it or when, but they believed that someday people like us would care enough about this city's past to pause and listen to their story. Today, that moment has come. We're here to honor their faith in Peoria and to discover what they wanted us to know. Before we begin, I'd like to recognize any elected officials with us in the room today. Would you please stand? I know there are a few. Thank you for your presence, and thank you for your continued support of Peoria's history and community. Today's program is designed to transport you to the world of Peoria in the 1890s. As you explored the displays on your way in, you learned about the design of City Hall, saw artifacts from the Peoria Historical Society that reflect life from that era, and viewed photographs of Peoria as it looked over a century ago. The music you'll hear today is performed by the Peoria Symphony Orchestra String Quartet, a fitting tribute since the Peoria Symphony Orchestra was founded in 1897, the same year that the time capsule was placed. Together, these sights and sounds help us step back in time and connect the people with the city we love. You also received a small souvenir when you arrived, a lapel pin of the City Hall bell tower. This pin is a reproduction of one that was handed out during the 100th anniversary of City Hall. And it seemed like the perfect keepsake for another milestone event that's honoring that remarkable building. The bell tower isn't just an architectural landmark. It's a symbol of the people's building, a place that has stood for more than a century as a home for civic life, public service, and the stories of generations of Peorians. I've had the privilege of giving hundreds of tours of our City Hall over the years, and on every tour I say, and I'd make this gesture, and in the cornerstone of this building is a time capsule from 1897. And I always explain that this time capsule, the one that we're looking at today, was open for 2 days, and the public was allowed to come into an active construction zone, something that would make our attorneys shudder today with, and they were allowed to drop items into this box for 2 whole days. So it's kind of interesting to think that we're here today, because without fail, somebody would always ask me, well, when are we going to open it? My answer was always the same: never. We had no plans to chip into the cornerstone. We had no direction from our forefathers to chip into the cornerstone. However, we do have restoration work that goes on to the exterior of our building quite frequently, and sometimes that restoration project brings us to history. And that's exactly what happened. On the morning of August 12th, our facilities manager, Jason Meeks, and I met with stone carvers from Autobahn Company who were working on the building's facade. It's always impressive to watch them use age-old techniques and craftsmanship to keep our structure looking beautiful. But that morning was a little different. They'd been working near the cornerstone location, and they found the box. Once we got the go-ahead from the city manager and the mayor, who both took early morning phone calls with more enthusiasm than most people would, the team carefully freed the box using a combination of DeWalt tools, expertise, and good old-fashioned muscle. And just like that, we were looking at a piece of Peoria history that hadn't seen daylight in 128 years. Interestingly, the building trades played a part in both the placement and the rediscovery of the time capsule. Back in 1897, when Mayor John Warner placed the capsule into the cornerstone, it didn't quite fit. According to the reports, he tapped it several times with his fist, which sounds like this, forcing it into the cornerstone. Watching from the crowd was Samuel Woolner Sr., a millionaire, veteran distiller, and one of the most influential businessmen in Peoria, who's now buried at Springdale Cemetery. And Woolner couldn't resist teasing Mayor Warner for not using organized labor to finish the job. So you see, it's thanks to skilled tradesmen then and now that we're here today. I'm happy to say that Autobahn Company doesn't just restore history, they discover it. I'd like to ask Josh Cox and Matt Schwartzendruber, the two master stone carvers who removed the time capsule, to please stand. I invite the rest of the Autobahn team to join them for a well-round deserve of applause. I'd also like to admit I think I'm their #1 fan. I bug them all the time with questions, and I'm constantly taking pictures of them because what they do is incredible. So I also want to thank them for putting up with me. So you see, it's thanks to skilled tradesmen. Pardon me. Of course, an event like this doesn't happen without a lot of help. Finding a preservationist willing to open a 19th century time capsule is no easy task. But Alex Dixon from the Illinois State Archives under Secretary of State Alexi Janulius took on the challenge with expertise and care. We're honored to have him here today, along with Director Catherine Popovich, who helped us guide through the process. Please stand for us, Alex and Catherine. Thank you. We should have waited really to applaud for Alex until the box was open and we took everything out, but that's okay. We'll give him applause now. I'd also like to give a special thanks to Jason Meeks. I'm not sure if he's here today. He's the City of Peoria's Public Works Facility Manager. He has passion and care for our historic City Hall, and I learn new things from him every day. A lot of the knowledge that I glean from him I take on our tours, and Jason and his team have been instrumental in making this event happen. I'd also like to thank the members of the Time Capsule Planning Committee. They brought deep knowledge, creativity, and genuine love for this city's history to every single meeting. It's been a privilege to work alongside of them. Committee members, would you please stand and be recognized? From the Peoria Historical Society, James Cosner, Edward Berry Jr., and Elizabeth Kleiss. Please keep standing. We're going to have everybody stand. Bradley University Special Collections and Archives, Dr. Libby Tronis and Ching Zedrick. Central Illinois, you guys can start clapping, I'm loud. Central Illinois Landmarks Foundation, Tim Hartnack. Peoria Public Library Local History, Susan Kaufman couldn't be here today, but we do have Randall Yelverton and Margaret Cousin here to represent. And Peoria Riverfront Museum, John Morris and Bill Conger. Everybody give them a hand. Thank you. Without all of you, this event and the careful preservation of Peoria's history would not be possible. And while we're here today to see what others have left behind, this is also your chance to leave a message for the future. Inside your program, you'll find a card inviting you to write a note to the residents of Peoria who will open our next time capsule that will be placed in 2026. The mayor will share more about that project in her remarks, but I hope each of you will participate just as the community members of 1897 once did. And now, it's my honor to introduce Edward J. Berry, President of the Peoria Historical Society, who will share his reflections on our city's past and present and help us celebrate the legacy preserved in the 1897 time capsule. Ed Berry.
Thank you, Stacy. Good afternoon, and let me add my warm welcome to that of Stacy's to this momentous event of the opening of the Peoria City Hall 1897 time capsule. My name is Ed Berry, and I'm honored to represent the Peoria Historical Society today. If, as Stacy has pointed out, I'm understanding correctly, the last time the historic artifacts contained in this capsule felt the fresh air and sunshine of Peoria was 128 years ago, or over 5 generations ago. A heartfelt thank you to all of you here today, as well as a thank you to all of our honorable elected officials. And the one other person, if you haven't realized already, who needs to be mentioned several times today is Stacy Peterson, a young lady a young lady who is the heart and soul of the Peoria City Hall. Her passion for what we are doing here has been a guiding light for many months now. The word cornerstone is, in the English language, is such a delight. It began its life simply referring to a piece of dressed rock, concrete, or masonry that served as the primary reference point during the construction of a building, a monument, or some other structure. It was critical to assuring the proper alignment, measurements, and stability of that construction. As building technology evolved and advanced, the cornerstone became more ceremonial and symbolic in nature, serving as a spot to proclaim the date of the building's completion and other salient information, and to conceal a box or capsule filled with wonderful memorabilia from that moment of completion. But then perhaps a third most important meaning for the word cornerstone sprang from these first two, namely a cornerstone as a guiding principle or guiding light for any human endeavor, a foundational strength or central element that provides stability and longevity. And so it is with the Peoria City Hall 1897 cornerstone and the time capsule contained therein that we celebrate here today. 5 generations ago, it helped guide architects Reeves and Bailey and Mayor William Allen as the builder to create the beautiful Flemish Renaissance civic edifice that still serves as the People's House in Peoria in 2025. It also offered a repository for some wonderful artifacts of the time that we will discover today. But most importantly, its presence strengthens our passion for the Peoria community that we love and cherish so much, offering a guiding light for our past, our present, and our future. The River City of 1897 was an incredible place, a bustling town filled with energy, activity, chaos, and lots of optimism. A hub for manufacturing, transportation, and agriculture, it was quite literally, as many of you know, at least for a while, the whiskey capital of the world because of the many distilleries and breweries. A few milestones of note during this moment in time include Lydia Moss Bradley breaking a whole lot of glass ceilings, including establishing what would become a nationally respected institution of higher learning. More on that in a minute from President Shadid. But I will note that also in 1897, Lydia funded and equipped the Bradley Band, one of the first organized bands of African American musicians. Conductor Harold Plow creating the Bradley Symphony Orchestra that would be incorporated 20 years later as the Peoria Symphony Orchestra, and part of that orchestra joins us today for some delightful music. Peter Summer, a Tazewell County farmer and tinkerer, along with sons John and Peter, inventing a revolutionary replacement for cumbersome split-rail wooden fences using metal wire. Their Red Brand line of fencing, manufactured by their Keystone Steel and Wire Company, would soon be used by farmers all over America. And certainly Charles and Frank Duryea engineering their Peoria Duryea motor trap automobile that served as a prototype for a whole series of mass-produced motor cars. The Deaconess Home and Hospital being established by the Methodist Episcopal Church when 25 years prior, the Third Order of St. Francis had established their Peoria Hospital, and just a few years hence, Dr. George Zeller dramatically improving the care of psychiatric patients at the all-new State of Illinois Peoria State Hospital with leadership input from the Peoria Women's Club. Speaking of women's clubs, it was in 1899 that Lindsay Davis organized the first African-American women's club in Peoria, the Women's Aid Club, which exists to this day. This is just a modest sampling of what incredible things were going on in our thriving community during the late 1890s when Peoria's leadership decided they needed a headquarters, a city hall, a house for the people's business that befitted such an up-and-coming town. Let me, if I may, share a delightful passage, a very amusing passage, from an article that appeared in the Peoria Herald describing the planning stages for that new city hall. Renaissance, medieval, strictly modern, semi-Gothic, Romanesque, classic, Grecian, Egyptian, and all such things now roll from the tongues of the aldermen as if they were to the manor born. They are studying city hall plans and incidentally are storing their aldermanic think tanks with architectural lore enough to make a fair-sized library on the subject. One of them will sit for about 5 minutes gazing steadily at a plan placed in competition and then will solemnly declare, "I don't much like them Renaissance things. Seems to me as if we ought to have something real classic just to show the world that we are up to snuff. And the Gothic reminds me too much of a jail, and it's bad enough to be an alderman without being cooped up in a penitentiary." So that gives you a little flavor of what went on during the planning stages for this delightful city hall that is still ours today. After the City Council committee charged with this momentous effort released their call for designs, 9 concepts were submitted. We have records of 8 of those that are on display here, and carefully vetted before that of local architects William Reeves and John Bailey was selected. That was on May 26, 1897. Numerous tweaks to the selected design ensued, and the cornerstone for the new Peoria City Hall was laid on November 2nd, 1897, with construction beginning in earnest. A little over a year later, on January 5th, 1899, Peoria's new government opened its doors. Today, Peoria's City Hall continues to serve as a beautiful example of Flemish Renaissance architecture. It contrasts with Reeves and Bailey's other nearby work of civic design, the McLean County Courthouse in Bloomington, which is a powerful example of American Renaissance with Beaux-Arts influences. But it is in perfect harmony with Peoria's other stunning example of that same Flemish Renaissance architecture, the former Irving School, designed by Weschelberger and Hewitt, who also submitted designs for the City Hall. So let me conclude my remarks by offering each of us gathered here today 3 challenges. Building cornerstones and time capsules have largely fallen out of favor in our modern, fast-paced world. So challenge number 1 is to bring these important reminders of our history back to life. If you are involved with a new building project, as an architect, as a builder, a governing board member of an organization, or in any other stakeholder capacity, make sure that the project includes a cornerstone and a time capsule. Stacy Peterson, as she's mentioned earlier in her remarks, and the City of Peoria are meeting this first challenge by creating a new time capsule that will be sealed in 2026 for future generations of Peorians to delight in. So challenge number 2 is to go to the city's website and answer the question, what is your favorite thing about Peoria? Or, as I believe there's a paper in each of your booklets, or there's also papers at the back and a place to drop those once you've answered the question. Those answers, as Stacy pointed out, will be compiled and included as part of this new time capsule. And the last of my 3 challenges involves a little bit of crowdsourcing or crowd science on everyone's part. As you go about your daily lives here in Peoria and environs, if you stumble across a cornerstone or a time capsule, or even a building dedication marker, take a photo of it and email it to executive director@peoriahistoricalsociety.org. add as much data about the siting as is available, and when our list reaches a critical mass, the Peoria Historical Society would like to publish a guide to all known cornerstones and time capsules, and ultimately celebrate them with an exhibit about the buildings to which they are tethered. Many thanks again for participating in this very special moment in Peoria's story and history. We will now have a musical interlude, I believe, by the Peoria Symphony Orchestra, followed by a reenactment of one of the time capsule speeches from 1897. Thank you again.
Good afternoon. I have the privilege of reading my predecessor's words, Bishop John Lancaster Spalding, the first bishop of the Diocese of Peoria, who came to the diocese in 1877, 2 years after the diocese had been officially founded in 1875. The interesting story of the diocese is that our first named bishop refused his appointment, Monsignor Hurley, who was a local priest, but back in the day, those letters from Rome that announced you were a bishop took time to go between Rome and the local church, and when Bishop Hurley, or Father Hurley, wanted to let Rome that he wasn't going to accept the appointment, it took some time before Rome realized that there wasn't a bishop in a new diocese. So in 1877 was when John Lancaster Spalding arrived on May 22nd and began work forming the diocese, and he was part of the ceremony to lay the cornerstone November 2nd in 1897, and so I'm sharing with you his words from that day. Mayor, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Chairman and fellow citizens, I am glad to be able to participate in the ceremonies of this occasion, for that which tends to improve the city is dear to my heart, as it is to all who call Peoria home. It is more than 20 years ago that I became a resident here. From the first, I was impressed with the beauty of the city, its situation, its facilities for commerce. I was more and more impressed that here was to grow one of the great cities of the country, and I have never wavered in my belief that Peoria was destined to become one of the best cities in the United States. We have good advantages here. We are in the center of the best portion of the country. The fertility of the soil is unequaled, the climate incomparable. There is no healthier spot anywhere than right here in Peoria. Years ago, at a 4th of July celebration, we decided that we needed an opera house, a hotel, better streets, a more extensive sewer system, and from that day, the city has made progress. We have had no boom. Our growth has been steady, and there has always been a high standard of health. We will always grow. We do not want a boom, an influx of uncultured citizens. We want to grow homogeneously, knowing each other and with harmonized conditions. We have a population of moral, sober, enlightened men and women. I have no desire to flatter or to please, but I do not believe there is a better population anywhere. There is goodwill here. National prejudices are absent, and we are all anxious to enjoy each other and liberty. We have schools, public and private. We have just dedicated a fine public institution of high value, and we take pleasure in speaking of Mrs. Bradley's beneficence and generosity. Her fine school of learning is a monument to herself and people. Here is a monument for our civil life. Here will be enacted the legislation for our temporal life. Man is more than he builds. A building is a mockery unless inhabited by men. We should place representative, good, honest, public-spirited men here to look to the good of the city who are capable of administrating affairs. I am glad to see at the head of this ceremony Mayor Warner. So oft has he been mayor. He has worked for the good of the city and for righteous and honest government. We as citizens are to blame if our officials are not honest men. We should be the choosers of these men. In this day, the seed of corruption is in our cities and legislative halls. Recently, a Chicago man said, "I am glad to see that Peoria took a strong stand against unreasonable franchises. You have given us a good example." I say, let us rise year by year to a high standard of thinking, hoping, and living, and then our children can truly say, "This is a worthy palace for worthy men."
Thank you, Your Excellency, and thank you for continuing the legacy of Bishop Spalding and his commitment to this community and to education. Thank you so much. And Mayor Ali to follow, thank you for your commitment to this community and your shared vision for Bradley University and this community. And good afternoon to all of you. I am Jim Shadid, the president of Bradley University. And thank you for inviting me to be here with you today to
to share a day and be part of so many who value history, community, and the enduring spirit of Peoria. To open a time capsule is to open a dialogue across generations, conversation between those who came before us and those who will follow. A remarkable reminder that the stories we write today will one day become part of someone else's discovery. When I learned this time capsule was placed in 1897, my mind immediately went to another cornerstone that was laid that same year, the founding of Bradley Polytechnic Institute by Lydia Moss Bradley. 2 milestones, just a few miles apart, born of the same civic optimism that defined Peoria at the turn of the century. A community and a university at that point in time intertwined like no other community and no other university in this country. The future and fortunes of each other linked forever together. Lydia Moss Bradley's vision was not simply to create a school. It was to build opportunity, a place where young people could prepare themselves to contribute meaningfully to their communities, their possessions, and the world. That vision mirrors the ambitions of those who gathered here 128 years ago to seal their own moment in time within Peoria city walls. As we have heard today, we know that Peorians and Lydia Moss Bradley and Bishop Spalding were products of an era that believed deeply in progress through education, service, and civic responsibility. At a time built by people who saw Peoria not just as a city on a map, but as a living community, one that could only thrive when its citizens worked together toward a greater good. This partnership between education and civic life has continued to define our shared story ever since. Bradley has prepared generations of leaders, educators, engineers, artists, entrepreneurs, special collections at our library, people who have helped shape Peoria's identity and strengthen its future. At the same time, Peoria has shaped Bradley through its industries, its innovation, its resilience, and its unwavering sense of community. Our milestones are indeed shared. When Lydia Moss Bradley founded the university, she did so in the memory of her family, but also in service to the city she loved so much, ensuring that Peoria would always be a place where knowledge and opportunity could grow side by side. City Hall, too, has long stood as a symbol of justice, accountability, and civic progress. Together, these institutions, one of education and one of community, represent 2 pillars of a healthy society. One teaches us how to think critically, and the other challenges us to lead thoughtfully. If citizens of 1897 could see us here today, opening a time capsule they sealed so carefully, I imagine they would be proud. Proud to see that Peoria continues to honor its past while preparing for its future. Proud to know that education remains a cornerstone of this community. And proud that City Hall still stands strong and a university founded is, in the same spirit, continues to serve the students and community more than a century later. And perhaps, just perhaps, they would also remind us that our responsibility now is to leave behind a legacy just as meaningful, to ensure that if a future generation were to open a window into 2025, they would find evidence of a community that cared deeply for one another, that invested in its young people, that valued civic leadership, justice, and learning. At Bradley University, we remain committed to that legacy. We continue to evolve, to educate, and to serve, not just for ourselves, but for a city that made our mission possible. Thank you to the City of Peoria and to everyone who made today possible. Thank you for reminding us that history is not something we leave behind, but something we build upon together. So here's the shared milestones to the visionaries of 1897, to those who carry their work forward today, and to the generations who will one day reflect on our story and see themselves within it. And now I'd like to invite Mayoral to the podium for her reflections on legacy. Thank you.
Thank you, President Shadid. We are so proud of your leadership at Bradley University. As the president locally, he lives in the city of Peoria. He's the first president of Bradley University from Peoria. We are almost there at the grand opening of the time capsule, but first I'd like to share some brief remarks. Welcome, everyone. 128 years ago, to the very hour, people gathered right here in Peoria to place a time capsule in the cornerstone of City Hall. They could not have imagined exactly who would open it or what our city would become, but they hoped that future generations would remember them and carry forward their dreams. Today, we honor that hope. First, I want to thank the elected officials, both current and former, who are with us today. We are grateful for your time of service and for the many ways that you have made your mark in our community. Your leadership has helped shape the city that we enjoy and honors the legacy of those who came before us. As you know, a program of this significance requires the work of many, and Stacy has already acknowledged our partners in her welcoming remarks. I want to take this moment to recognize Stacy. Stacy Peterson, she added intense, immense care and dedication to Peoria's history. Her work is evident in every aspect of this event, down to the every detail. From planning this program to sharing her knowledge through tours in our award-winning City Hall, Stacy Peterson ensures that our city's past is preserved, celebrated, and shared with all who visit. So I know we've thanked her previously, but one more time, please, thank you, Stacy. Phenomenal. I'd also like to thank our speakers who share their time and knowledge to help us better understand the history behind this moment. The stories that you've told bring to life the people who gathered here in 1897, their pride, their optimism, their vision for the city that they loved. You helped us bridge more than a century of time and to see how their hopes still echo in our community today. I also like to recognize the City of Peoria's Historic Preservation Commission for their ongoing work to protect and celebrate the character of our community. The Commission ensures that historic districts and landmarks of architectural, cultural, and community importance are preserved and restored, keeping Peoria's unique history visible for generations to come. Their partnership with the Central Illinois Landmarks Foundation and the National Park Service to place City Hall on the National Register of Historic Places reminds us that preservation isn't just about buildings. It's about honoring the people and the history that built them. Together, these organizations help to safeguard the spirit of Peoria, proving that our city's heritage is not just remembered, but actively cared for. And of course, let's have a round of applause for the Peoria Symphony Orchestra's string quartet for their beautiful music. The symphony was also founded in 1897, the very same year that the time capsule was sealed. So it feels especially fitting that they are with us today, connecting two moments in time through the universal language of music. We're so fortunate to have them as part of Peoria's story. When we think about the people who gathered in 1897 to place this time capsule in the cornerstone of City Hall, it's humbling to realize that they were not so different from us. They worked hard, they took pride in their city, they hoped for better days for their children, and they wanted Peoria to endure. The items we'll see today, photographs, speeches, perhaps a few business cards, are more than artifacts. They're messages. Each one meant something to the person who placed it inside that box. Every object is a quiet voice from the past, telling us what mattered to them: their work, their families, their community, and their sense of belonging. When the time capsule was sealed, Peoria was only 50 years old, 50 years young, ambitious, and on the rise. The speakers at that 1897 Cornerstone ceremony included Mayor John Warner, Alderman W.H. Carroll, Bishop Spalding, and Reverend Moran, along with businessmen Nicholas Worthington, Samuel Warner Sr., and M.C. Quinn. All offered hopeful remarks about our city's future and admiration for the beautiful new City Hall, which had just begun construction. Some even commented that it would be a place for only the most moral and upstanding politicians. Many took pride in the fact that it was designed and built by Peorians, truly a building for the people, by the people. But as we look back at the few photos from that time, it's clear how much our community has changed. Peoria today looks very different. It's more diverse, more inclusive, and stronger because of it. Our progress as a city is not just seen in our buildings and our achievements, but in the people who call Peoria home. One of the speakers that day, Attorney Oliver J. Bailey, said, "Cities are born again with new purposes, aims, and ambitions." That statement still rings true today. Cities evolve, and with each generation, we have the opportunity to renew our purpose and shape the community that we want it to be. If you look at the program in your hands, you'll see a timeline that tells the story of Peoria's growth. From the city that Bailey and his neighbors knew in the 1890s to the city that we know today. It's remarkable to see how right he was. We've lived out those words in every generation. We've been born again through new industries, new neighborhoods, and new ideas. From our days as a manufacturing powerhouse and distilling center to our leadership in healthcare, education, and innovation, Peoria has always found ways to reinvent itself. The timeline before you shows that steady progress, the milestones that prove cities are true, the milestones that prove cities truly are, as Bailey said, born again. Just as Peoria was full of opportunity in 1897, it remains full of opportunities today, with affordable housing, good jobs, strong schools, and a vibrant quality of life. The people who founded this city believed in its potential, and we continue that belief every day. And as we honor the time capsule from 1897, we are also looking ahead. The story doesn't end today, it continues. As part of America's 250th anniversary in 2026, we'll be placing a new time capsule in the cornerstone of City Hall. Every one of you has been given that card, as mentioned earlier, to write about what you love about Peoria. So before you leave, please drop your card in the box near the door. Your words will be part of the next chapter of this city's history, a message to the people who will be here years from now, opening it and wondering about us. Among the anticipated items in the time capsule is something small but deeply symbolic, a buckeye, placed by James A. Ryan. We don't know exactly why he chose it, but a buckeye has long been seen as a symbol of good luck, strength, and resilience. Its name comes from its resemblance to a deer's eye, representing vigilance and intuition. It's a tree that thrives in tough conditions, much like our city has. So as you leave today, we'll have buckeyes available at the door. Please take one in the spirit of good luck and resilience for Peoria's future and for your own. We also want to thank Elizabeth Kleiss from the Peoria Historical Society, who collected these buckeyes by hand for today's event, yes. She wanted to ensure that we could share this small but meaningful symbol with all of you. Isn't it a wonderful thought that Mr. Ryan may have left that buckeye as a symbol connected to both good fortune and to the native peoples who first called this land home as a gesture of hope for Peoria's future? When we look at the contents of the time capsule, we see more than history. We see ourselves reflected back across time. The people of 1897 left these things not only to be remembered, but to remind us that we are part of something enduring, a story still being written. And so today, as we stand here overlooking the Illinois River that has shaped our past and continues to shape our future, we honor their faith in this city and we renew our own. To celebrate this moment, please enjoy a musical selection by the Peoria Symphony Orchestra's String Quartet. Following their performance, Chad Kalkbrenner from Peoria Public Works and Alan Dixon from the Illinois State Archives will come forward to begin the opening of the time capsule and share these messages from the past with us. Thank you. On behalf of the city of Peoria, let's open this time capsule.
There shouldn't be, no. Again, years of sitting in there, everything's settled down. Oof. Much better than we anticipated. So real quick, kind of our game plan here is I'm going to slowly bring the items out. I'm going to pass them off to either side of me. And then I believe at the end of this, everyone will have a chance to come up and view the items. And then to answer one question that some people may have about the gloves. A lot of people always ask, why don't you wear white cotton gloves, which is pretty common on TV shows and movies and all that stuff. White cotton gloves take away the tactile feel that we have on an object. So when we were to reach in here with a cotton glove on, we wouldn't be able to feel what the paper felt like. So if it was really fragile, we might have a higher risk of ripping it. So in a perfect world, we would go barehanded. But a box that's been sealed for this long, we have no idea what might have been in here. So we're going with these type of gloves. That's the most common question we get in a situation like this. So I figured we'd just answer that right off the bat. And without further ado, we'll go ahead and start pulling some items out. All right, so I'll start off going this way, and then we'll just back and forth. So, and I guess since we're not here in silence, usually what we find is that after so long, the documents have been in a enclosed box, and humidity from many years of heating up and cooling off soaks documents. And there's been examples where we'll open up a box and it's swamp water. The documents have fallen apart. They have fused into one amorphous blob. So this is beautiful. This is amazing. To be in this good a condition right off the bat is sometimes unheard of. There's two there. So this will be the first little bit of damage that we see. As you can see on the screen, this dark staining. This is acidity from old papers. So if you notice on modern day newspapers, after they've been out for a while, you'll notice they start to get extremely yellow. And that's just because the way those papers are produced is it's as cheap as possible. And so the chemical process they do just slowly starts to degrade over time and cause this sort of discoloring. I would honestly have expected this to be a lot worse with the newspapers that we had in there. I would have expected more acidity issues. But again, so far, really good condition. And this looks like it's going to be a photograph of someone. Here's one of those copper plates. Yes. Absolutely. All right. So Alderman Stefan Warschlag? Feels like it's probably going to be a photograph. Then we have the first biennial session, Supreme Circle of the Royal Circle, held in Springfield, Illinois. The Royal Circle, November 1897. Then it looks like we have a few calling cards. Frank Baker from the Erie Dispatch. A saying says a bird in the hand is worth two in the bush. Another calling card. Division of Chemistry, U.S. Department of Agriculture, in charge of garbage collection. Very big penalty for private use of $300 back then. Then we get same, but street cleaning department. All right, so here's our first item that we're having some paper that's sticking together. And I'm honestly going to guess, it looks like it was rubber banded together at one point, and that rubber band has just fallen apart. And so it is causing this small stack of papers to stick together. Some more calling cards. So it looks like a couple of letters, postcard. Don't know who that's from. Another calling card from N.J. Lewis, manufacturers of galvanized iron. And that one is stuck pretty good to the bottom one. So I'll hand those. What we'll do when we get these back to the archives is we'll hydrate and properly flatten these so they'll lay flat. We'll take proper care to clean, organize, and properly store. So this is letterhead from City of Peoria Department of Plumbing. Coppersmiths, Plumbers, Gas and Steam Fitters, Klingle Bros. And a small article from the all the staff of the post office at the time. Another object looks like a piece of pipe fitting. I took German for 4 years, don't remember much. Something in German, I believe. James E. Durkin, druggist, from the picture, I'm guessing. Laws and ordinances from 1892 in beautiful condition. Catholic something's league. Well, Catholic Swimming League, yeah. So we have a letter from them. Unmarked letter, or photograph maybe. Letter from Elizabeth J. Brunninga, August 21st, born 1876. Stenographer under the supervision and direction of the mayor. I have a couple of photographs. John, I can't read the last name. This is talking about a photograph of an old market. So some of these we may have to see if there's a matching item that may have gotten tossed around. Wholesale tobacconist. All right, some more rubber bands have stuck these together. But we've got another photograph of a city comptroller. Looks like Western veteran out of Kansas City, Missouri. Looks like some sort of newspaper or magazine type thing. More calling cards. Alderman W.F. Bryan. John W. White. Leonard Liebenstein. James Smith of the fire department. Assistant Fire Marshal John A. Warner, maybe. F.L. Michael, city electrician. And James Ingram. And we have 1897 City of Peoria officers of the various wards, and then mayor, clerk, attorney, treasurer, so all of those positions. Half of an envelope. Let's see. We've got another photograph of Carl Moeller, fire marshal. Couple more envelopes. List of officers, independent order foresters, I believe. These are stuck together. Here's another one. All right, some more calling cards. Joseph Miller and Sons, builders and lumber dealers. Thomas McQuellen, plumbing inspector. We have a pamphlet from the Schiller Lodge. We have, looks like candidates for circuit judges for the election held on Monday, June 7th. Planing Mill and Lumber Yard. Alderman J.E. Deckman. Another one of J.E. Deckman. And John W. Brower, Superintendent of Building for the city. Colonel J. Warner, Mayor of Peoria. Looks like a sealed envelope, but feels like maybe a photo. Booklet, The Monk Introduction Company, Peoria, Illinois. Looks like well, at least on the back, you have a bike advertisement. Some more newspapers. Taglicker, Peoria, Democrat. Some more calling cards. Mr. Edward Easton. John McAllister. And J.E. Newman. Some small piece of paper. I don't want to unfold it, it feels fragile. But it looks like it has a list of names. Another small scrap with some more names. Walk-in liquor? What? That's a word. Another Peoria Democrat newspaper. Yeah, that one is in German, yeah. This another newspaper folded up. Peoria Evening Star. The Peoria Sunday Transcript. The Peoria Evening Times. We have another calling card for R.L. Pasquay. We have a Central Railway Company ticket, good for one fare. Yeah. Another of the City of Peoria paper. And there's that one as well. A rivet, maybe? Maybe some sort of metalworking rivet. and another piece of pipe work. A few more calling cards for Edwin C. Spitznagel for real estate. Mr. Charles Easton. J.L. Nickel. And W.F. Russ. And last but not least, the Buckeye. And that is everything. That is, as I think Stacy can agree, the biggest surprise I had. I kept telling her, don't expect anything good. Expect the absolute worst, and you'll still probably be disappointed. And this is 100% different than I expected. So.
Because Alex said that, I'll admit something to you. When we had our first conversation, he was very clearly trying to measure my expectations and said, you know, sometimes we open these and it's, I think you said historical goo, was what you might have said. And anticipating that, I actually wrote remarks that some of you may recognize this. This is the set. This is my bonus. It's called the Geraldo outcome. And that is in reference to Geraldo Rivera opening the vault. I thought if this is a huge bomb, I better have some words ready. But I don't need those today. Let's give Alex Dixon another round of applause. I also can't tell you how happy I am that there was actually a Buckeye in the backs, because I would have felt like a total liar otherwise. So let me regain my composure here. As we come to a close of today's program, I want to thank Chad Kalkbrenner for the successful completion of opening the time capsule, certainly the most unusual task that he's ever had to complete in his time with the city. Of course, Alex Dixon from the Illinois State Archives, who carefully handled the items, and Blake Baxter from the city of Peoria, and James Cosner from the Peoria Historical Society, who assisted Alex in every step of the way. So what's next? Alex will take these items to Springfield to the State Archives Conservation Lab. We are very appreciative of that, thank you. Upon their return to Peoria, they will be photographed by Ching Zedrick, who's in the front row of Bradley University's Special Collections. This is very important because we plan to create an online gallery so people can access these items at any time that they want, and they can explore these treasures from home. Eventually, the items will be housed at the Peoria Historical Society, where they will come out for display periodically, giving all of us the chance to continue learning from and enjoying these remarkable pieces of history. I also want to thank all of you, our visitors and community members, for being part of today. Before you leave, we warmly invite you to come up and take a closer look at the items. This is your chance to see history up close. I know that you could see some of the items on the screen, but they are remarkable in how incredible they look. Please come up and take a look. As you head out, we're going to remind you there are two little pieces that you can still contribute to Peoria's story. You've already heard us say it, we're going to say it again. Please fill out a card. We'd love to leave a message for the future Peorians. But also, Donna and Michelle at the back of the room will have a Buckeye for you. Please take a Buckeye. I mean, Liz Kleiss picked them all up. We got to take them. We'd like to send you off with a little bit of good luck. We're going to hopefully compile a video of today's event, too, so you'll be able to see that on our YouTube channel. All of our handles are on the back page of the program. Thank you for being a part of an extraordinary moment in Peoria's history. We are truly grateful to have shared it with you. I'm sorry, I'm very emotional about this. I love this city and what we do. We are truly grateful. Thank you. You're going to make it worse. I feel such a responsibility to the people who put things in the Buckeye, and I'm so happy with the people who were able to share this moment with all of us. So we are truly grateful to have shared it with you, and we hope that today has inspired you to think about the people, stories, and moments that shape our city, past, present, and future. Thank you very much for being here today.